But I mean, I always say championships and culture, it's not won in practice. It's not won in the locker room. It's won off the court, you know? And when you spend time with one another, when you get to know one another, you get to understand people's backgrounds, people's interests, what makes them tick. It really just forms a connective tissue, and you build a trust. And you know, one thing, I see Coach K's name, so I'm just going to mention Coach K. But one thing Coach K used to always talk about was a hand has 5 fingers, much like 5 players on a basketball court. And when those fingers are apart like this, and you try to strike something, you know, you don't have great force. If anything, you might hurt your fingers. But if you bring those fingers together and form a fist, you know, now you have a chance to have real force. And so we would roll our eyes as typical 18, 19, oh, here he goes with the fist stuff again, you know. But, you know, in the heart of, you know, in a game and you know, at the time of the game where you need a big stop or you have to execute, we'd be in a timeout, and he would say fist. And it would just sort of refocus us to who we are and what our values are. But it's about doing it together. And that comes from investing in one another. And so really just trying to emphasize the importance, like what are we doing culturally? How are we taking the time to, you know, work is important, but what are we doing bringing people together, having, whether it's in small groups, larger groups, different speakers coming in, just building culture. And like, what is culture? I mean, how do you define culture, which is a great question, but and we all have different definitions, but I think it's intentional interactions, intentional connections. One of the things with USA Basketball, we're putting together great players playing on the international stage, it's really their game. And we have 2 weeks to prepare. A lot of these teams, Spain and some of these other countries, they've been playing, France, they've been playing together since they were teenagers. Yeah. We're gonna assemble great talents who are great individuals and try to come together in 2 weeks and form a team. So it's intentional connections, intentional interactions. It's practice, but what are we doing the rest of the day? Yeah. And how can we build that connective tissue and do it very in an accelerated fashion? And so whether it's USA Basketball or it's a company, these are things that we have to be mindful of and think through.